In this video, I'll introduce you to my training process and the 6 steps that I use for each training session. The first step is the lesson question. The second step is the skills acquisition. The third step is the situation analysis. The fourth step is the response structure. And the fifth step is the response input. And the sixth step is the trainer feedback. Now let's take a look at each of those steps in action. The first step is the lesson question. This is where I introduce the question or problem that the lesson was derived from. The question that a student asked me once is, what should I do if an owner, vendor, or owner or client wants to deviate from DSEC standards and we don't? The second step is the skills acquisition. This is where I introduce the skills that the trainees will acquire. The kind of skill that we're working on here is how to persuade an owner or client to not deviate from DSEC standard. Okay? You guys maybe have some building standards or engineering standards or requirements that you have to follow. The second part is how to persuade an owner or client that the standard is acceptable or durable. So if there's a plate thickness, there's a steel plate thickness that you're talking about with an owner and he thinks that the plate thickness is too thin, and you think how to persuade an owner or client that the standard is the best since the quality is just as good and it is less expensive than the alternative. So you're basically disputing a standard, and you're saying we're going to say that our standard is acceptable. The third step is the situation analysis. This is where I introduce the situation and analyze the different aspects so the trainees know when to use the skills. This is the situation in this. The owner or client is requesting a different paint scheme than specified in the contract. So the specs say that there's a certain paint scheme or plan, and the owner wants to change it. Okay, so this is the situation here. So the paint scheme contract specification states this. So this is the section, an epoxy primer shall be applied to the outfitting and pipes in accordance with the builder's standard. This is the solution that came up in this situation. At the beginning, the owner rejects K150 for use on the bare steel because the international paint adheres to ferrous or iron material better than K150. The fourth step is the response structure. This is where I introduce the sentence structure of the recommended response and give examples of it in use. When you're in this situation, how do I make a recommendation and give a reason? So I think it would be best, I think it would be the best, or I think it would be best. Sometimes I omit this. I think it would be best if, and then the recommended action, because, and then a reason, and then maybe an instance or an example. Ready to go? I think it would be the best if we change the primer from K150 to KNA 784 because paint tends to perform better when used with other paint from the same maker. A couple more examples. I think it would be the best if we left it the way that it is because moving it will cause other more significant issues since there isn't much additional space in this area. So we're talking about an arrangement in this scenario. I think the owner was requesting an increased capacity of the tank, but since the larger tank, of course, it would cost more and it would take more effort to change other parts of the system. So I guess there was equipment that was not working properly, and the owner wanted to replace it, but fixing it was a better solution because it would cost a lot more money to remove it. The fifth step is the response input. This is where trainees input their own response using their smartphones. Responses are projected in front of the class so the whole class can learn from each response. Those of you who are finished writing, take out your phones. The sixth step is the trainer feedback. This is where the trainer gives immediate feedback which highlights positive and negative aspects of each student's response. Everyone, let's read this. Okay? Ready to go? I think it would be the best if we keep the original specification because it will delay the shipment schedule since the production has already been done. Okay? So they've produced it already, and changing it would cause delays. Okay? Good. That's nice. Whoever did that, I don't know. All of my contact information can be found at www.ericgabriel.com/contact. Feel free to contact me anytime. I look forward to hearing from you.